Check 1, 2. Deep Ellum on air.
Right on you.
Deep Ellum on air.
It's time to really get our party on now.
It's PMS, the Pugs Moran Show on Deep Ellum on Air. DeepEllumonair.com. Coming to you in bold, brave, stereophonic goodness from deep in the belly of the beast, Highland Park, Texas. Jansen hates that. I'm so proud of the fact that we are broadcasting from a home in Highland Park, Texas. Probably the most uptight area that you can find around here for a couple hundred miles. And yet here we are, this beacon of insurgency, broadcasting loud and proud on your home computer or your iPhone or whatever it is you listen to this on. What do people listen to this stuff on?
Cocaine.
Yeah, thank you, Del. Del OL is with us. I love that name.
Thanks, I
I love
appreciate that.
Del OL. It's just perfect.
I love the PMS.
It's just perfect. Nah, that's a reach, but Del OL is perfect. Also, we've got V.
Hello.
She's, of course, from Hungover with V, Sundays at 11 o'clock. Del, you didn't say your show.
I'm sorry, the Del OL Show, Sundays 2 to 3.
There you go.
Here on DeepEllumonair.com.
And also, we've got Stanton with us. Stan, what do you do around here? You're just kind of like the everything man.
I make coffee really well.
Yeah?
I dress in lingerie for anyone that asks.
He's a
really.
good intern.
Yeah. I got naked for V earlier. She asked
Best.
me to.
What's everybody
Naked
getting naked?
intern.
A lot of homoerotic stuff going on
Yes.
around here. At least a lot of talk of homoerotic stuff. I've not actually witnessed any of it.
Homoerotica.
Stick
Stick
around long
around,
enough.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Am I wrong, V, or was Del not offering to show me his penis like 10 minutes ago?
No, you pretty much, I'm surprised you haven't seen it yet, honestly.
I had the microscope ready and everything, and
Yeah.
Pugs backed
What do you
out.
mean you're surprised? I see this. Is
It took like a week for me to see it, and I don't even know why. It wasn't even, we were at church.
Even the way he announced his notoriety, it was like, oh, everyone's seen it. Oh, everybody. I'm like, really? I couldn't tell you. You know what? Half of my male friends might be completely smooth as Ken dolls down there. I wouldn't know.
I can tell you half your friends are. That's a pretty good estimate. And here's what's weird is it's nothing I ever try to do. It's not like I try to put my member out there. It's just somehow on occasions people catch glimpses of it.
Yeah,
like leprechauns or
That's
something.
so weird. No one's ever seen except for girls that I've been with. No one's ever seen
And it's not on the internet either. It's always in person.
Right.
I actually saw it before I knew his name. I was like,
How does that
who are you
happen?
talking about? This Dell guy? What? Landing strip? Oh, yeah, I know that guy.
That guy.
So you have no problem just showing your dick to people?
I'm more shameful of, well, no, I don't even care about stuff in my head. I have no, when it comes down to it.
It's interesting to me because we're a few years apart.
Yeah.
We're from a slightly same generation but different ends of the spectrum.
Right, I would agree with that.
Your generation seems to me to be perfectly fine with, nudity among the boys. That is just not something that, and maybe it's also where I came from. Maybe that's just how you guys in Texas are.
Well, no,
but that ain't how we are in Chicago.
No, when I was
we don't show
younger-
each other our junk.
Well, when I was younger, that wasn't the case. I mean, people, like I wasn't involved in very many sports, so I never like showered with the other guys or anything like that. So oddly enough, it wasn't until like, I guess it was college where enough people were just getting laid that at some point, you'd walk past the guy's dorm and he'd open his door and be like, what? Because you're staring at his junk.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Sexuality in general seems to be a completely higher profile topic among your generation.
I think this generation's a little bit more feminine, too. The men are a little bit more mama's kind of boy. They're a little more feminine.
Yeah?
I just got to say.
I blame Queer Eye.
Really?
Men my age, the 30s, the little bit of, most of them are mama's boys.
Soft?
Yeah, soft.
Soft.
Yeah, you smack them around a little bit, like, stop crying.
Yeah, you know
Why
what
are you
that is?
crying?
It's because you didn't grow up under the specter of the Cold War. That's why. I'm telling you.
I can believe that.
I'm telling you. Every day of my life, we talked about this last time, I woke up until about college, really. Every day of my life thinking, is this the day that the bombs drop? Yeah,
Fear.
You live your life a little differently.
If you were raised by the Cosby Show, there's a good chance that, you know what I mean? Like, that's totally different mentality as you're growing up. And I think we had like Care Bears, and then I transitioned to Cosby Show.
You know what else you guys had? And this is what completely screwed up the sexualization of my generation. When I was in 8th grade is when AIDS broke.
Well, yeah, that'll do it.
I was going to say Xanax.
My entire sexual awakening was shrouded by death. Girls weren't slutty. Everybody, seriously.
You missed about like 10 years, yeah, because
By
right
10
in
years,
the 70s,
yeah.
right.
Because everything, you could get AIDS from a toilet seat when I was in high school. Everybody was totally freaked out about it.
When I was very young, that
I
was
got
trailing
robbed.
off, yeah, because when I was like in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, that was still something they were actually even teaching us about in health class because they were so worried we were going to get it from anything. But by the time I hit 7th, 8th grade, that was definitely starting to wear off, you know?
There are numbers, there are cold, hard numbers that show that the rate of teenage pregnancies and all that stuff dropped drastically between 1983 and 92 or something like that. And I think it was Magic Johnson who
I would agree
changed
to that. I can see that.
Because Magic Johnson announced that he had AIDS or HIV.
Yeah.
Right.
And then for years and years, we saw this guy dunking basketballs. It's like, it was like there was an awakening somewhere in the 90s, and your generation sexually benefited from it, where everybody went,
yeah, I did.
where everybody kind of went, oh, wait, it's not a death sentence.
Well,
everyone doesn't get AIDS. And then you
Right.
guys started having all kinds of crazy sex that we never got to have.
Home protection, though, you learned a little bit more, too.
Well, one of the first movies I ever saw that was about AIDS was, 2 or 3 years later, I learned it was completely wrong. It was this, a film about like the lady got AIDS and her skin fell off at the end of the movie. But it was so over the top ridiculous because they were trying to scare people.
She coughed on a city bus and the entire city
Right.
had to be
It was like,
quarantined.
and then like 2 years later, they're like, wait a minute, that's nowhere near like this virus acts.
It was like
know?
an after-school special, and her husband,
Yeah.
he was sleeping in a bed. She got a blood transfusion or something. He's sleeping in a bed with her, and he gets up in the middle of the night and starts scrubbing himself because he's afraid he's going to get
Yeah,
it.
it was crazy, man.
As a matter
Everybody
of
was
fact,
afraid of
I was
time.
just reading just going through some comics I'm trying to
was
get
like
rid
the
of the other
plague.
day.
It was treated
Yeah.
that way.
And what's funny is I was reading a comic from the 80s the other day, I'm trying to get rid of as many as I can, and it was the Spectre from like 86.
That's the reason. Right.
But get like I think I read like 10 of them that night because seriously, I'm trying to get them out of the house. So I'm trying to read them and get them out. Every damn issue was AIDS. This guy's got AIDS. This girl's got AIDS. The Spectre's going to come for you. I'm like, I get that it was prevalent at that time, but every issue. In fact, I found that's why I stopped after a couple of issues. I was like, you know what? Not everything in the 80s was AIDS. Where's the pink leg warmers? Like there were other things to talk
The
about.
bangs.
Every episode was about that.
AIDS was a complete death sentence and on par with the plague, and cocaine didn't do anything to you.
Yeah.
That's what people believed in the 80s.
You couldn't say the C word either.
Cocaine
Yeah.
was perfectly
Forget
safe.
about the hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah,
forget about
Well,
that.
you couldn't say
Aerosol.
cancer either back then. I remember as a little kid, still cancer was off limit. My parents wouldn't say cancer when a friend of theirs got it. It was the C word, the big C.
I remember I was watching a movie.
Yeah.
I was watching a movie from it was from like the 70s or the 80s or something, and it was some actress, and she was an actress in the movie. She was having some downward spiral, and there was a scene where she like was doing lines of cocaine while she was putting her makeup on. And they treated it like it wasn't even a drug. It was
Yeah, like smoking a cigarette back then or something.
it's just a little blow. And they're like, it's going to lead to harder stuff. And here I am in like 2013 going, they had the wrong attitude in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's like, blow was the hard stuff that would ruin your life, but they treated it like baby formula.
That's me right before
same
show.
as baby
You know
formula.
what, Vince? But it was in cocaine for a long time, and
heroin was sold over the counter for years as a pain medication.
Yeah.
Cocaine was in Coca-Cola, yeah.
Nom nom nom.
Yeah.
In fact, cocaine, the reason they made it so sweet was it was a pain-killing agent. Coca-Cola was originally sold to get the pain medication in you while tasting well. That's why it was so syrupy. But when kids started liking it, and they had to take the cocaine out, they were like,
dial it
whoa,
back.
people will
you talk
still
about
buying it.
Freud. Freud was addicted to cocaine. He used to use it inside his mouth. He had what is it? Mouth cancer from cigars, from smoking too many cigars, and he would treat that with cocaine. Yeah.
Hey, Sherlock Holmes did cocaine. One of the
Yep.
greatest
Openly wrote about it. It was
Yeah.
a part of the character.
Yeah.
that he did it. Although he didn't call it cocaine, he called it snuff. Or
Yeah,
something
right,
like that.
yeah.
But it was he would hit these lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cocaine.
I was always
He would figure it out.
Yeah.
Once I figured out what crack was, I was always sad that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is Sherlock Holmes being the, I guess, second smartest man, his brother smarter, but that he never got around to inventing crack in any of the issues of Sherlock Holmes. Like, smartest guy on earth, has access to cocaine. He does chemistry in all the stories.
Dr.
I
Jekyll
would've-
created something.
I would have liked to
Yeah.
have seen it, and maybe somebody needs to do some fan fiction now where, Sherlock Holmes invents crack from the cocaine he's doing. I would read that story.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. Very good. Here's what I know about you. I know you like comics and I know you like porn.
I like Sherlock Holmes.
Such
too.
a strange. Have you ever pleasured yourself to a comic book character?
Not a comic book character, but that's not true. But not in a comic. If they make a video or a comic book.
It's the hentai, huh?
Yeah, they'll do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are you into
Oh,
that?
that stuff is
But see,
disgusting.
here's me. Here's me though. I'll actively watch porn that I have no interest in because I have an interest in porn. I will actively watch stuff that doesn't turn me on and then masturbate to it to see if I can understand why somebody would like that because somebody's beating
Really?
off to it. So sometimes I don't get it.
I won't waste my time with anything.
What about
unless I'm
speech?
jerking it to it?
Yeah.
I got no use for it.
Oh, well, see,
What am I-
but see, when it's the fourth time of the day and I've already gone through my
Oh,
stuff.
see, there you go. All right, well, let me ask you this, because this is a question that came up in my house a couple weeks ago. There was an episode of Family Guy, and they got together all of Brian's former girlfriends. Yeah. And there was one of them that you may remember from the early episodes of Family Guy named Brittany, who was Brian's. I'm watching her and I'm going, damn, she is hot.
Yeah.
And she's a cartoon character. I'm like, well, how is that? I mean,
Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah.
but she was an animal.
But
She had
she's-
funny ears.
No.
Still.
Jessica Rabbit was a human.
Yeah, she was-
Oh, was she?
She's the one with the big
Oh,
luscious.
all right.
She was
Never
married to
mind.
Roger Rabbit. But I will tell you this: I remember the
Fail.
first time when I was a kid.
No, but that's her name, though. Jessica Rabbit is her
Rabbit.
name.
Yeah, because she's
okay.
married to
She's-
Roger
she's
Rabbit.
very
But I
into
thought
it.
she was a rabbit.
No,
No,
she
she's-
is a buxom, full-bodied woman.
Okay, then she was hot. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kathleen Turner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. She
But
was hot.
one of the things I remember a girlfriend saying to me when I was in high school one time was the first crush she ever had was on the fox from the Disney's Robin Hood, and she had masturbated to him as was when she started to get older because she didn't know she had never really been experienced to porn.
Mine was Alyssa
but
Milano.
because she grew up.
What?
She always grew up thinking he was such a manly character. When she kind of started developing,
Wait, hang on.
feelings.
We gotta immediately stop what Dell
Yeah,
just said.
what's that, V?
Yeah, hang on. What was that?
Oh,
What
I'm
are you talking about?
Yeah, Dell's
Yeah.
conversation became a lot less interesting.
Who cares about you and your stupid
Alyssa Milano, I want to hear this.
Yeah, mine was Alyssa Milano.
Your
that
what?
was my very first feeling towards sexual anything.
Wow.
Are you gay?
Yeah.
Sort of.
I mean, yeah.
Half and
She's
half.
bi.
I do what I want.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
the way I see it.
All
So
Yeah.
in your
I do what I
fantasy, who was dominant?
me. Yeah.
So were you saying who's the boss and slapping her?
Yeah, I just no. I mean, I felt a connection with Alyssa
You know who
Milano.
mine first was?
Damn.
Vanna White. That's the first time I ever remember laying in
Nobody
bed
cares, Del.
afterwards going, yeah, you know what? I could see all that
Hold
sex
on.
stuff that people talk about.
Shut up, Del.
V, come on.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
this.
You really want to know?
Yeah, Alyssa,
what
Alyssa, Alyssa Milano.
Well,
you.
it was just remember the episode when she got the bra.
I do.
You don't?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
do.
remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
do.
she started developing and it was right around the time I was I really haven't developed since, but kind of
Hold on. Slow it down a little
and
bit.
she was a tomboy like me. We were both tomboys. We both played sports, you know. So I felt a connection.
And yet she was noticeably beautiful.
And she was
Yes.
she was pretty, and and then she was just getting a little older and I was getting older, and then it was I just was at home. It happens. that was my experience.
That was your sexual
That my
awakening.
first time really just enjoying myself. It was Alyssa Milano.
So you were touching yourself?
Well, not
But you had a sexual
I had a
awakening.
sexual awakening with Alyssa Milano.
Yeah,
That was my first. She was my first big hardcore crush.
I know exactly what I was watching. My sexual awakening. It was an episode of Charlie's Angels, and it was the episode where they went to jail. And there was a scene where they were all in jail, and the angels were lined up, and there was a big butchy-looking, warden matron, whatever, prison matron lady, and all the Charlie's Angels had just come out of the shower, and they were given towels. And the camera was now switched to behind the girls. So all we saw was their backs, and we saw the matron with a hose. And the matron said, "All right, girls, open those towels." And all the Charlie's Angels dropped their towels, and this matron started spraying them with a hose.
I know exactly what scene you're talking about.
Man, I was like, what, 6? I don't know. My head exploded.
I was young too. I saw that.
I went, are you kidding me? They're all naked getting sprayed down by a big fat lady in a house coat? That is awesome.
That's why when people talk about you don't develop sexual feelings till like puberty or something, like, no. I saw porn when I was 6. I loved it.
Phoebe Cates.
Awesome.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Phoebe Cates.
Fast Times.
Fast Times.
Yeah.
That right there. That was another moment. I was like,
you know why that wasn't
over
for me,
and over.
Because I saw that first in the theaters. So it was like, you couldn't really get all worked up.
Yeah, kind of awkward.
That was a
there,
good one. But no, it's Charlie's Angels. What about you, Stanton?
Well, when I was a kid, I used to have a I had a bunch of posters on my wall, right? Like Ninja Turtles and The Simpsons. But on my ceiling, oh yeah, straight up. On my ceiling facing down, Shannon Doherty.
All right.
My parents always wondered why I had her on my ceiling.
She was a bad girl. I get it.
Yeah.
She was a little bad girl.
She was good looking.
She played the part, but she was wild. She was a wild child.
Yeah.
But with the poster on the ceiling, laying down.
Well, yeah, he's looking right at you. Of course, you gotta have your lights on. Which I didn't like that.
Man,
get a spotlight.
I preferred Kelly.
Mine was way earlier. Y'all remember Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox?
Don't say Michael J. Fox is Teen Wolf.
Oh no, his girlfriend, the blonde
remember
girl.
when he goes into the dressing room? They're doing the play, and she takes the shirt off, and she's got the bra.
Yeah.
I just remember like humping a pillow.
Me too.
And my dad like coming in laughing at me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know.
You know
this is awesome."
First of all, I'm glad you said that. Yeah, because that's what you did when you were young.
Yeah.
You didn't know, so you'd like put like pillows or
I think the
Pillows,
first movie,
teddy bears.
I think the first person I ever touched myself to, even though Vanna White was the first one I kind of had a crush on, Weird Science.
Oh yeah, Weird
When
Science.
they- Oh my god,
That was
I
a
just
woman.
remember no kidding. That I still measure women compared
To that
her.
right there.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
A
that
lot
was
of
pretty good.
prepubescent
Sucks.
kids have been touching themselves to that movie for a long time.
That's always why that'll be
That's a
classic.
hot
Hey,
movie.
you know when? Well, I was about to say, this is a stupid statement. I was about to say, remember the kids nowadays? They're missing out on the. You remember we had the channels that were like fuzzy at night?
Oh yeah,
But now they got the internet, so it's like they're
Oh my
laughing
God.
at us.
They've got
but-
Seriously,
galore,
do you know how
yeah.
sexually charged kids are going to be with the internet now? I don't know how I'm going to keep my kid away
I
from
feel like it might desensitize them though. I feel
It
like
is.
it's
It's
too
gonna
much.
ruin
It's
them.
going
It's
to ruin
gonna
them.
totally
By
ruin
the time
them.
your kid's,
Yes.
20, he won't even want to touch a person. He won't know how to touch a person because it's all on there online.
They're
it's all
already
this-
saying that there are many, many more in the last 10 years since the internet really took hold of every household in America. The marital problems that have been created because men won't have sex with their wives anymore because they're whacking it 3 times a day to these unbelievably unrealistic women that they're seeing on porn.
see,
and
here's-
then they look at their wives and they can't get hard for their wives
Yeah.
anymore.
No, even
It's
if their
ruining-
wives are hot, they're still doing that.
but here's-
even if their wives are
Right,
fucking,
it is
it's
desensitizing them to it.
ridiculous.
Absolutely.
But I would also say this, not that I absolutely don't agree with that, but I had an argument with a girlfriend one time. She says the reason why porn is so unfair is because it gives men this idea of what women want. I'm like, well, then turn that around. If men are watching that, then aren't you slacking on giving your man what he? Because clearly, I mean, it's a two-way street. If you're going to argue, well, that's not fair. That's not how women like sex. You got to turn it around and say, yeah, but men are enjoying that.
I
So
will say-
isn't there a certain balance that comes to
Look,
that?
You gotta
If your
give a
guy
little.
if your
It's
guy
a
likes a
two-
little
I
bit
think
of
it's a
kink,
little.
I think the girl's got to bring it up a little too, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I just simply
You know?
think it should be more difficult to come in contact with. We're talking about kids.
Well,
You're
sure,
right.
The
yeah.
original
I mean,
thing
I
was
agree.
How kids are going to be so completely desensitized.
It
to
is.
But I mean, I had access to
That's
porn.
saw
sad.
it at 6.
Well, one
Saw
of my
porn at
neighbors,
6.
had a porn stash, and he was like 10 when I was 6. So I mean, I have had access to almost any type of porn I've wanted since I was 6. And that's probably one of the reasons that I have a fascination with the art itself. I mean, with the actual reason people go into it is not that I've been desensitized, but I find a fascination. That even as a kid, I was like, okay, yeah, I got the sexuality and stuff, but theoretically, you can masturbate to the same picture every day, but they don't. And it's weird that since cave times, we've still been able to come up with new ideas for, like, to me that's mind-boggling that I can go on UX videos and there's new videos that I find stimulating. Like, who thinks
There was
know?
a time when entire generations would have to rely on the potluck of what magazine they found in their garage
Yeah.
in order to masturbate. Now you've got 50,000
everywhere.
choices at
With
the click
tags.
of a thumb. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Well, you used to have
can't
to wait
keep
for
up.
the lingerie magazine, or even,
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, one time I stole, because I couldn't get any porn.
Victoria's Secret.
No, I actually stole my sister's, like, Delilah, because they were wearing the cute little skimpy clothes, and they were teenagers. I was a teenager. I was like 14 or 15. But we were on vacation, and so the only thing I had was like these girls in cute clothes that you would see girls at school wearing, but it was the only thing I could look at to fantasize to for like a week while I was on vacation.
Dude, I actually have you beat, man. When I was like in the 6th grade, we were rummaging through an alleyway, and I guess someone was being evicted or something, and so we happened to stumble across a whole box of Playboys.
Oh, isn't that the
Nice.
greatest day in your
Ah,
young
it
boy's
was.
life?
But I remember,
Oh.
see, we had never even seen a Playboy. So I remember we take it back to this abandoned house we used to hang out, and we would open it up, and we would like see the boobs, and then we would see like the vagina, and we'd be like, "Oh God, let's hide that."
Oh,
Let's-
I never had that.
Let's hide that. I mean, I was like, 10, 15, or 10, 11, however old I was, but it was just like, it was awesome.
I still truly believe that it's every grown man's duty that when you get married and decide to get rid of your porn collection, whatever, that it's your duty to take it near a junior high or high school and leave it.
Yeah,
I think it's irresponsible to throw it in the trash.
I think that's borderline illegal.
I
what you're
agree.
suggesting
I
you do,
agree, but illegal isn't the same as immoral.
Hey,
and
let's
it-
show a bunch of little kids
It
hardcore
happened.
porn.
Look, when I was at 7 years, you don't show them. You
Before
don't
I
put your
get
face
married.
around. No, you don't take it there. You leave it in the middle of the night, so not just nearby, so that
I'm
when
gonna
you're
give the
walking home.
I'm gonna give the website. Yeah, Give Porn to Children Foundation.
Sure.
Yeah, let's get on that right away.
What was that I was hearing? I'm sorry. I thought I was hearing things blow back in my ears.
That was the children in a
All right.
frenzy.
All I'm saying, somebody did it for us in 8th grade. We found a box walking on the way home one day, and I thought, God bless this man who didn't take this to the dump. Or
All right,
woman.
a couple of things I want to talk about here. We got off there on a little organic conversation about
Orgasmic, organic.
Yeah, orgasmic and organic conversation there about pornography or what gets you off, which is not exactly everything I wanted to hear. You know what I want to talk about?
Well, hold on, just real quick. So, what's your favorite porn website?
Oh man,
Because you need one that's safe. That's the big
Yeah.
deal.
yeah. You need what? Like,
porn.
what do you mean safe?
Well, the one that you're not going to get a virus.
Yeah, some are
There's-
kind of sketchy. Yeah.
Well, there is a website that I can suggest called either ElephantTube.com,
That's a good one. That's not bad.
which is good. They'll
I
give
hadn't
you a
heard
lot.
that one. That's a new one.
If you're interested in
Elephant tube.
Elephant Tube,
See, that just scares me. I don't know. I want to.
but they just have a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's not as high tech as some of the other tube sites. I like tube sites, but Elephant Tube goes deeper. Like if you wanted. No pun intended. Look at that. I'm talking very seriously
Yeah.
about why these sites.
I actually didn't catch that point.
Elephant Tube has more. There's just more of an archive there. There's just more stuff that'll come out. There's more tags available. You can search any crazy thing
See,
and they'll
that's
have
me
something.
for X videos.
That's what I like.
And
Xvideos.com.
because you can go to tags and anything that somebody's thought to tag something with,
Yeah.
that's what I like is I can scroll the wall and be like, oh, cream pies. I would have even thought to
See,
look that up.
I don't do that on
Yeah?
Xvideos. Here's how I use Xvideos. I go to Xvideos, I click the porn stars link, and I go to like page 2, 3, or 4. I don't start with number 1 or whatever. And I just look at the different porn stars.
And
That's
these are free, right?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
All free.
Xvideos is the largest one in the world. It actually has almost twice as many videos as any other site.
Oh, is it the
That's-
largest
So-
one?
It's, yeah, like 3 months
Because
ago
I
it became
find
the
stuff
largest.
on Elephant Tube that I don't find
Yes,
on
and
Xvideos.
RedTube also has stuff, and Extreme Tube has
I
stuff.
don't like either of those.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm just
see,
saying,
I don't
it-
either
it
because
has
it's too
stuff that's not-
amateur. It's like
no. YouTube is all. I mean, Xvideos is also where all the porn houses make a deal with Xtubes, and even if you can't get the full video, you can almost certainly get like it chopped up into clips, and it's not illegal for them to have like Brazzers and Bang Bus and everything like that. They have deals with Xvideos because of advertising that allow you to get a whole 2-hour video on there, or just 5-minute clips of
Yeah.
it.
You have a favorite
But
porn star?
me?
Yeah, I don't think
God,
I've asked
it
you
either
that.
changes between Ashley Blue, Ali Sin, or Lexi Bell.
See, I don't even know. Oh, Lexi Bell, I know.
Love Lexi Bell, but Ali Sin is great, and Ashley Blue and maybe Julie Knight because she's pretty dirty in some, and I like that.
Lexi Bell's a little creepy.
Hey,
because
hold
she's
on.
young
Proxy
Before we get
Page,
off
maybe.
topic, I just wanted to ask you: have y'all heard of Eskimo Tube?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's my favorite.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, Eskimo Tube's good. It's whatever you're comfortable with. I used to like Pornhub, but for some reason I can't access it anymore.
Well, it also Pornhub basically is also, if you look at the top,
You
there's
got-
all the links. It's 5
got
other
everything
sites
else,
that just
You have to clean
it's
the
an aggregate.
keys. That's what you have to do. Clean the keys,
Hey,
and then you
know
can
what,
get
though?
right back on it.
Can I just, no, that's
Wait,
not the
more
problem.
importantly, what's V's? Because I know she was about to respond.
V-
I actually
YouTube?
don't really watch porn.
Is it your own softcore
See, I don't
porn
have
channel?
TV. Here's the thing about me. I don't have TV. And I'm really
don't
good.
either.
I'm
What are
very
you talking
sexual.
about?
No, but I'm real like I'm in touch with my
Slutty.
feelings, my emotions, and I can actually orgasm without touching myself.
Do it now.
I mean, I gotta.
Do it
Yeah,
now.
I wanna
mean,
see this.
I
it's gonna
challenge
take a yeah. Like I have to like be, but it's I know I meditate.
Sure,
Jansen meditates.
If I'm on cocaine,
you know?
have a butt plug in, I can do the same thing. I don't know, so what's so special about that?
No, no.
You don't even have to touch it. Just look at me funny.
Look, if
I
some
am
girls
not
grabbing
on
my-
cocaine.
Look, if some girls grab my dick and yanking it back and forth her vagina, I can come without touching myself too. I don't see what's
That's
so
a little
special
much.
about
I don't
that.
think we need to be that crude. But, all right. You know,
But yeah. Anyway, yeah. Well, I was saying meditation. Meditation. Jansen meditates, and it's basically called. It's like focused meditation, and so you can do it focused on certain body parts and things, and you can actually focus on the area and have
like
a
tantric
successful
sex?
orgasm.
I got no time for tantric sex.
Yeah,
I don't want.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah.
We better. All right.
Yeah.
I'll just play with it down. Oh, here I got it. Now that I know where the
don't play with it
is.
too much; you'll go blind.
I think
That's
it's
right. Or at least chafe. I hate that. I hate the chafing. I haven't chafed since I was like 18 years
Who
old.
uses lotion? Also, by the way, 'cause-
Nobody.
No, there's people that do, and this throws me off because I ain't got ain't nobody got time for that. I don't
lotion.
understand. It's clean up the mess. That's it. But I have friends that they're like, how do you do it raw? I'm like,
What do you mean, how?
how? Well, maybe 30 years of experience. I don't know. Like,
Spit.
what do you?
I'm not
I don't
wasting a
even do
lot of time.
Spit. Yeah, I don't
No,
understand.
spit. Like 5 tugs, I can be
My
done.
hands aren't sandpaper. They're like a
Boom,
baby's
boom,
ass.
boom.
Yeah, I don't understand.
All right, let's move on to something else. I don't really want to
Please.
talk about this stuff. We had a whole bunch of things we were going to talk about, but we don't have much time today. As a matter of fact, we don't have. We're only going to do one big segment here today. I've been watching all these stories. This has got me very all up in arms. You've been seeing these asteroid stories. Sorry, want to make sure it's these. They start out as
Meteors.
Make sure everybody knows they start out. Here's a rock hurtling through space is an asteroid. A rock that is hurtling through our atmosphere is a meteor, and a rock that has crashed from outer space on the ground is a meteorite.
I'm so glad
Yeah.
that someone else
Thank
knows
you.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because it's been bugging the shit out of me. All of these people, like these news people, go,
Yeah.
and an asteroid crashed into the earth. No, it's not an asteroid. Come on, this is like freshman year
Yeah,
astronomy.
exactly.
It's not an asteroid. It's not. In fact, it's a meteor when it's in our atmosphere. It's a meteorite when it's on our ground, and it is an asteroid when it's hurtling through space. But have you been watching these stories?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I saw a bunch of
Oh,
videos.
yeah.
The Russian dash cams. Yeah, a lot of those.
How freaky is that Russian one? Now, I have seen a meteor skitch across our atmosphere.
Well, sure, shooting stars.
I've
That's
seen-
that's what all that is.
No,
yeah.
but I mean, I've seen like a big,
Oh,
like,
okay.
like a meteor bounce into our atmosphere, break into flames, and then skitch across the horizon.
no.
I mean, it's not all that uncommon. I mean, it does happen, but this was one about 15 years ago, and I was out in the middle of a complex where I used to live in Chicago. It was a complex of like 10 soccer fields, you know, in the middle of communities.
Yeah,
where-
yeah.
And I was walking my dog in the middle of it, so I had nothing but sky above me. There's no houses or anything. And I'm walking my dog, and I'm just kind of looking up at the sky, and I just see this thing for like a split second. I was like, holy crap. And I thought it was really cool, but no one else was there to see it, and I didn't even tell anybody about it. But then later at night, at 10 o'clock news, they said, yeah, we had an asteroid skip across our horizon. I'm like, I saw
Wow.
that. And it's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the kind of thing that you see and you go, well, and it's not a UFO thing.
No,
it's not
yeah.
like, I mean, you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But it's so rare that you would see something like that. These videos from Russia, Siberia, which is where this actually happened.
That's it right there.
And this is, we're looking at it now. And this is the only place where these kinds of things can happen, Siberia, right? I mean, it's not going to happen over Cleveland. It's going to happen in Siberia.
Yeah, or like what that was, the Tunisian or whatever, where the asteroid exploded just barely over and knocked all those trees flat. like 50 years ago. You know what I'm talking about?
Asteroid
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
explode.
yeah.
The meteor.
I'm sorry, the meteor exploded when it hit of course, when the air got dense. See, now I'm
Now
falling
you
into the
sound like a
trap.
CNN news
I know, I
person
do.
getting it all wrong. And
But
driving
when
me
the
nuts.
meteor's coming down, it's just like with water pressure. It finally hits an air pressure, at which point it breaks apart, as opposed to. But anyway, apparently this one had essentially the blast of 2 atomic bombs.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the picture, from the center, it radiates out. All these trees are knocked
knocked
flat.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Tanzania, I think, is what it was, or something like that.
Mhm.
Forever they were like, was it a UFO or a black hole pass? And they finally figured out it was a meteor. It just blew up
We
about
don't
half a
even
mile
go-
above
we
the
had
air.
it last week. I mean, they've got 400 people went to the hospital. I mean, buildings were not destroyed, but severely
Yeah.
damaged.
Right.
Roofs were taken off and windows blown out. And
Well, so far they said the last 3 major meteors have all hit in. Now, Russia's a pretty big landmass, but they said I think it's out of the last 4, 2 have hit in the ocean, 2 have hit in Russia, Siberia, that type of area. So, I mean, I know it's a large part, but we're lucky because if that had been right over in New York, the concussive waves could have done a ton of damage.
well, here's what freaks me out about this thing. They described the one that skitched across the atmosphere and crashed down in Siberia as being the size of a New York City cab. Okay, so there you go. So now
Wow.
you know how big that thing is. That's
Yeah.
pretty big. Here's what concerns me about this. They didn't see it coming. They had no idea. This was a complete mind F to all of the astronomers, not just in Russia, around the world.
It came out of nowhere.
It
That's what
did.
they said. It
Well,
came out of nowhere.
The problem was that everybody was focusing on this other big
Yes.
event.
Yes.
that
the
we
one from a
had.
couple of years from now, yeah.
Right? No, it happened. Already happened.
No, it was
Oh, is it?
happening. Yeah,
It
the,
was-
Okay.
the
what was
big
it?
one, that flew like 17,000 miles,
Oh,
like
yeah,
almost
that thing.
hit
Okay,
us.
right.
And then the
Now,
meteor.
that is an asteroid because it won't come through our orbital
And it was
field.
the
yeah.
same. It was the same day as this thing happened.
Yeah.
So everyone rightfully thought that they must be related. No, these things weren't related
Yeah.
at all. They came from completely different trajectories. This one in Russia, nobody saw.
Well, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Their air defense systems
Yeah.
didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Came straight through. And they're like, don't worry, we got this. We got all the special capabilities.
I'm a little
We'll-
concerned.
With all the monitoring on Earth, we're
Except for
only
that
able to
one.
monitor about 1.5% of the sky at any given time. And something traveling that fast within our solar system, you don't have time to pick it up if it's that small, period. Because it's just like radar. You can't pick up small things far away. They have to be big to be picked up. So by the time it gets close enough, you're talking with inside the moon to be picked up. You're
Hey.
not going to spot that.
So I got a question. I'm not trying to be a
Oh, there
conspiracy
you go.
theorist or anything, but is there any possible way that it is anything other than what is
Well-
being reported that it is?
Can I say it? The aliens have landed.
No, I don't know. I'm not saying that.
Well, no,
but,
there's
you
two
know.
reasons you can answer no to that. If you know what a spectrometer is, that's a machine that basically shoots out a white light. It registers what doesn't come back, and then it, according to what doesn't come back, because every chemical every element in the universe absorbs certain spectrums of light. So what you do is like shining a white light on whatever color doesn't bounce back tells you what color the wall is. Well, same thing. If you shoot a spectrometer at Venus and it comes back missing certain fields of light, you know that there's boron in the atmosphere, this or that. So no, generally once they know something's in the area, you can even take pictures of it afterwards and subject it to spectrometers. You can determine what thing it is. And almost every single meteorite or asteroid is only of 3 types. And the most common is that it has this type of nickel that originates nowhere else on Earth, meaning it came from outside the solar system.
Space nickel.
And both of those have exhibited that. But I mean, it's the same way we can tell what Jupiter's made of. You know, it's what's called a spectrometer, and they just shoot they shoot every gamut of the radio wavelength from visible light to past ultraviolet, past infrared, and whatever doesn't come back, that's what's absorbed. You know, they have the machine that figures up the different combinations of what was absorbed to determine what elements or compositions. And they basically do that with any asteroid or anything that's found. Plus, they did find remnants of the meteorite afterwards.
But we also know without a doubt what it is, just because we've all seen these before, and we have tons and tons of footage
Like if it had
documenting what
stopped
was.
in the air,
It wasn't
I would-
being piloted.
Yeah.
This thing was being hurtled through space. I mean, it wasn't like there was someone in it. This was a classic.
And real quick,
Okay,
I just want to
well-
say real quick, I have no
Meteor
idea what
strike.
Del just said. That's all. Go on.
Yeah, same here.
Just look up spectrometer on Wikipedia.
He said there was boron in the what? In the, that's like the conversation
more like
was
boring in the-
But hold
yeah.
on. What if it was a meteor, but
space eggs.
it was like directed some way?
Hurled by an alien slingshot.
No, I'm not saying anything about
You know,
aliens.
hey, look,
I'm talking
look,
about.
I was
like,
raised Catholic. The Pope did some bad things,
Yeah.
and you know what? We're under attack. Everybody, be afraid. You know, I mean, he did some bad things.
Why being punished for that dude?
Well, because he's hiding. You know, he's seeking protection.
No. I'm saying, what if there's some kind of like technology where we can like almost suck in a meteor and blast it at certain areas?
Yeah, why did the Pope have to step down on the same day that these things happened? That doesn't seem. Doesn't
a week after he got a warrant for his arrest issued too. That's a little weird.
Yeah. I heard a comic friend of mine posted this on Facebook. He had a good Pope joke. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah, I love Pope jokes.
Yeah. You know why the Pope retired? He thought he had a special relationship with God, but then it turned out it was just Rowanaya Tuiasosopo. Dude, that's a brilliant anti-Teo joke.
I do not.
About his fake girlfriend.
On that one.
Okay.
Yes.
Thought he had a special relationship with God. Turned out it was just the Hawaiian prankster.
No, did not. Didn't get the reference there for a second.
That kills if you're sports literate. If you are sports literate,
I know who the
kills.
is. Yeah, I just didn't get the girlfriend's name.
Yeah.
See, I didn't get that.
And you know what else
first.
is bad about that joke? And this is what I told my comic friend who posted it. I said, the only thing that's difficult about that joke is that the punchline is too wordy.
Right, that may have been what threw me.
Because like almost too
like
wordy.
when I said spectrometer, I just saw your eyes like same thing. Two syllables into that, I was like, I'm gone. I have no idea.
What is he saying?
I suggested this. Tell me if you think this would work better on stage. The Pope stepped down because he thought he had a special relationship with God. Turned out it was just that Manti Teo guy.
Now, see, I could that I would get, yeah.
Rona Tuiasosopo is too.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, all right. I just wanted to talk about the asteroids because I don't like the idea that
Meteors.
this one. Thank you.
I got him back the other way.
You son of a bitch. I totally walked into that. Respect. All right. So we're talking about the meteor/meteorite. Actually, no, we're only talking about the meteor because we could care less about what they found. Just a big bunch of knocked down trees is what they found. Does it trouble anybody that we know that there are these things flying around out there? We're just one giant target. There's shit hitting us. By the way, every day something falls from space, and it's most of the time it's the size of a quarter
100,
or whatever. But
100 tons of space debris falls onto Earth every day. You ever heard that old joke about if you built a wall out of 10,000 bricks and each weighed 100 pounds, how much more would the Earth weigh? Nothing. It'd weigh exactly the same. Well, no. Technically, every day 100 tons of dust, debris, random stuff from space falls onto the Earth and collects.
That's just our trash.
Falling back down.
Landfills.
Is it safe to say with the people arranged here at the table that we all agree that the dinosaurs were in part, actually no, largely wiped out by some sort of occurrence like this?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Meteor,
the Yucatan meteor, yeah.
So we all agree with that.
Yes.
Who's to say that that's not going to happen again?
Nobody.
I think people are saying it is.
But what we do is we trust that our authorities are going to have their eyes on these
like
things.
the Pope.
And today,
maybe that's why he stepped down. He felt bad for not catching that one.
But my question is, and they were talking about this on CNN today because it was revealed that this one that hit over Russia was. Everyone's now admitting, look, we didn't see it. We dropped the ball. They're saying, look, we were all looking over here.
This just in. We didn't see that.
It skirted everything.
Do you really think... Oh, and by the way, you want to hear something scary? They had some, like... I knew that he was a real smart aerospace guy because he was an Asian dude.
Oh, yeah.
This, like, Asian
That's it,
guy.
yeah.
Miyazoki.
Expert.
And he said something like, it doesn't really matter. Like, if there was something heading towards Earth that was going to basically destroy us, we would need to find it 3 years out.
Yes.
Anything short, like if it was like a year away, we're fucked.
Yeah, there's
we're
nothing
fucked.
you can
There's
do.
nothing they can do. They admit it. There's nothing we can do. So I'm like, but this thing was the size of a New York City taxi, and it completely snuck by you guys.
Yeah.
Do you think they would tell us? Like, if they knew 9 months from now
Probably
someone's going to hit us,
not.
would
No.
they tell us?
No.
It would probably be declared a national emergency and kept.
They try to protect us
Why?
from knowing
I
and
don't
put
think
us
they
in
would tell us
camps
at all.
for
That's
our
what
safety.
I'm saying. I don't think they would.
Yeah.
I think they would just keep.
But even like moments before, I don't think they'd tell us. I think they would just let it happen.
But here's-
They would be off in their little bunker somewhere.
Right.
Just,
Here's the thing, though. There's no way to know. I mean,
Yeah.
we really are. We're floating in space amongst other planets. There is
And
no way to know,
we're-
and nobody is capable of protecting all of that Nobody.
And
We're
you know-
anti
you know
the
what?
sidewalk.
Not even God.
We're
not
anti
even-
just walking on the sidewalk. Anything can happen to us next.
Yeah.
Anything.
We're not even floating in space. We're rapidly moving.
Well,
like we're,
yeah, well,
'cause
yeah.
we're,
Trailing-
we're
trailing
expanding
the
out
sun,
all
yeah.
directions. Yeah, it's crazy
So-
to think about like what is actually happening out there. Yeah,
Yeah, okay, so let's not.
So on that
it'll
note,
keep you up at night.
No more existential dread. Let's pray for God.
Yeah. No, that proves to me how delicate everything
Yeah.
that we
well, yeah.
hold as our lives is. It can just like that.
Well, when
can
you get
end.
into like religion and philosophy, that's the main the question, the answer
Well, yeah.
that people seek. You know, really, what most
Existential
philosophers,
dread.
Yeah, it's
Essentially.
this fear, but it's the main thing. If you think like the best advice, if when they do say you have to live for this second because you don't know if you have the next one. And and you don't, so you always have to live right now in this present because we're lucky to be here.
Yeah, but that's also dangerous
right now.
to live that way.
Like,
It's impractical-
YOLO.
It's
Well, yeah,
impractical
yeah.
to
YOLO.
live that way.
Car crash.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
yeah, I mean,
the
not
new Lonely
be-
Island song actually addresses that. It's called YOLO, and it talks about how you shouldn't like travel or do anything dangerous and always wash
See,
your
I don't
hands
believe-
because
yeah.
you only live once.
Yeah, well, not live recklessly, but
Right.
but enjoy this
I've
moment.
Well, and
Actually,
that's
I
actually
know
what
what you're
Carpe
talking
Diem
about.
means. I was reading about this on
Seize
Crack
the
the other
day,
day.
yeah.
Seize the day actually
Seize the
means
day.
take care of yourself. Don't fucking die
Today.
today.
Right, don't just
Today.
do something crazy today. Make sure the day is handled. Is a better way. It's actually
Seize
make
the
sure you
day.
handled your day is a better way of
Yeah.
phrasing that. Is make sure you take care of everything that you need to today.
I thought the way I phrased it was fine, but all right, sure, Del.
Actually, one of my favorite books.
Your way's better.
Yeah, one of my favorite Arthur C. Clarke books is this book called Rendezvous with Rama, which later in the book it has to do with an alien spaceship and all that. But with the first chapter, a meteor comes
later
through
in
and
the book,
destroys.
it completely loses all credibility.
Right.
But in the first chapter,
Right. Well, no, what's interesting is because in the preface of the book before the story kicks off is there's a meteor that hits Paris, France, and levels every single bit of France, just destroys France. And then within 3 days, another one hits and destroys like most of Europe, and another one hits and destroys. So like they just happened to be a cluster that just hit Earth and
Fascist.
just decimated it. So after that, they basically like cleaned everything up, and over the next like 50 years, built this huge, expansive program that could catch stuff basically 20 years out. And then that's how 20 years, later, 50 years later, they catch something that's moving, that starts arcing its trajectory, and then starts slowing down and aiming towards Earth 20 years away. So they start preparing for this interaction. It's a really cool book, but it starts with, there was no way they could have, it was just a shock that all these 3 cities got destroyed by something that nobody could have done anything about no matter what.
But even if like we spotted something and we were like, oh, it's 2 years away from hitting it's still not 3 years. It's got to
Right.
be 3 years for us to be able to do anything to stop this. 2 years away. I mean,
Well,
why even try? It's
You don't. You shouldn't.
the
You
one that
can't.
killed the dinosaurs. That was larger than Texas.
You drink.
So something like that. I mean, that's a lot different from a cat.
And things still
Yeah.
lived, yeah.
So-
I mean, basically the shape of the Mexico and Texas, the Yucatan crater is what makes the Gulf of Mexico. And if you take that little curve there and expand it, that's about twice the size of the thing that hit. So you're talking something that, was the size of Texas, smashed right into the ocean. Now, here's the other thing. If it had hit land, it probably would have done even more damage. But
Yeah.
because it hit water, the water actually soaked up most of the
Absorbed
heat
some
and
of the-
absorbed
yeah.
a lot of it. But then, of course, it radiated that steam into the sky and put ash into the sky. But if that had hit land, it would have been even worse.
Yeah.
all right. All right. I got nothing else. Anybody else got anything else they want to talk about? I wanted to go into the whole Minnie McCready thing, but it's such a bummer of a
Yeah,
story.
I
we're
think,
already talking about death the entire planet. We don't have to go into
Yeah.
death
I
of
was
a
gonna say,
dog.
I'm really
Yeah, no. If
bummed
she
out.
didn't shoot her dog, it would be different.
That's the saddest part to me.
Would she have to shoot
Bad.
her dog?
That's fucked.
No, it was her ex-boyfriend's dog, the one that killed himself
Or
on his porch,
well,
or she killed him,
she
right?
may have killed him.
But either, and the shooting of the dog
All right,
makes me leave it more to that.
Stop. Here's the
Del will always have something
Get rid
to
of the
say.
witnesses.
Stop. We're talking about it without doing it properly. So if people are listening and they
Yeah.
don't know what we're talking
No
about.
idea.
Minnie McCready, the country singer who really is only famous in my life because she was on Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. She shot herself on her porch in Arkansas yesterday. It is the same porch that her boyfriend, record producer Doug Wilson, shot himself on a month ago.
No, not even a month. It was February
Wow.
13th.
Oh,
or
really?
12th.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
whatever.
just
Yeah,
a few
soon,
days ago.
recently. It was
Yeah.
recently. And there was some suspicion that she may have been the one that shot him. And now she has killed herself. I'm not a big country music fan. I do know who Minnie McCready is.
But you
Yeah,
know what?
her
no
single
idea.
her big single was "Guys Do It All the Time." I looked it up last night.
Really?
I didn't just
Yeah,
know that off
from years ago.
I only
She
know
was
that from the
young,
radio
years
telling me that
ago.
today.
But doesn't country
Yeah.
music make you want to kill yourself?
I
Not
love.
all
I
of
bet she
it.
was listening
I
to her
love
own
country
stuff when it
music.
happened.
I don't.
There's a lot of it that does.
I don't like
yeah.
modern Nashville stuff, but
It's a
I
little sad.
love old
See,
stuff.
old-
I love
old
Johnny,
Western
Willie,
music,
Waylon, all
yeah.
that stuff. I loved Dwight Yoakam and old George Strait and old Randy.
See, that's what I call
Travis and-
Western country as opposed to modern country.
Black hat country is what.
Garth Brooks is pretty much
Even
where it stops
talking
for
about
me.
it right
Where
now.
Anything
Garth Brooks
past
is
Garth
about where I
Brooks-
draw the line.
Even talking about country music makes me want to kind of slit my
Yeah,
wrist.
Garth Brooks. That's like saying, saying
Yeah.
Garth Brooks is country is like saying that
Well, no, that's what we're saying.
Justin Timberlake is rock.
Well, no, that's what
You
we're
know?
saying is that's the trail
Love him,
end of
by
it.
the way.
To me, Garth Brooks is the cutoff point of where you could even. Everything before that, Waylon Jennings, stuff like John Cash.
Garth Brooks is the exact same kind of country artist that Kenny Rogers was, that Barbara Mandrell was. They're mainstream country
Yeah.
artists.
Yes, for sure,
That
yeah.
hardcore country resists,
Yeah.
but mainstream America, who doesn't like any country but
But
will accept.
I'm
Thunder
That's how you
Road.
get the Dixie Chicks
Yeah.
and all these.
Yeah,
But I'm saying
but the
Shania
thing is,
Twain.
He's
Garth-
the breaking
Garth-
point for me. That's
he's-
it. That's the point where I can no longer go past him into
I've
popular
seen him in
country.
concert. Wickedly talented guy.
Really?
Unbelievably entertaining, talented
He's
guy.
a funny guy too. I've
but
seen
it's
him
not
do.
really my thing.
I've seen him
think-
do stand up. He's actually a very funny guy. He's done stand up.
He's an entertaining guy.
Yeah.
I'm really pissed at him for ruining that Chris Gaines career because I loved that shit.
Because you were a big Chris
Yeah,
Gaines
he was.
fan.
That's a guy. That guy. Now Brooks could learn a little something from Chris Gaines. I'll tell you that.
Look, dude, I think that is badass. When you are so big a star that you can walk into your record company and go, yeah, you know that new album I owe you? I'm going to do it as my alter ego, Chris Gaines, and you're not going to do shit about it.
Yeah.
Be a
Because I'm
fly on that
fucking
wall.
Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
hey, Snoop Dogg. Hey, Snoop Dogg. Snoop Lion now. Reggae. He
yeah,
did that.
not the same thing.
But
though.
he can flip it
Yeah.
over.
Chris,
I mean, he's
Chris
flipping
Gaines
I don't
was
know
Matchbox.
who that is.
Oh, you don't know who Chris
Yeah,
Gaines was?
no.
Okay, Garth Brooks decided that he didn't want to be country anymore.
Well, no, there's actually a kind of a weird story. They were going to develop a movie around this character about this pop
Yeah.
star who was
Yeah.
like Billy Joel, kind of
Right.
a piano man, kind of a guy,
Love
Billy
Joel.
and it was like piano
Yeah.
rock type stuff.
And he went out and got his hair cut, and he had highlights, and he dressed like he
soul
was in
patch.
Matchbox 20.
Yeah.
It was a totally
He
new.
performs on SNL one time. Look it up. Garth Brooks is the guest. Chris Gaines is the musical guest.
Yeah.
It's
Hey,
hilarious.
I think I have seen that. I thought that was like
really
a parody.
funny.
I thought he was mocking
No, he was-
something.
He
that
was serious when it came down to years.
It was just very
It
weird.
wasn't good though. It was
Yeah,
really
well,
bad.
The album sales were hugely disappointing, and so they cut plans to do a movie. But they were going to do a movie based on it.
It
Wow.
was based on the exact same, and it was the same management. I know a little bit about this because I saw something on VH1 like a year ago.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the same manager who ran Bruce Willis's career, and you guys probably don't remember this, but Bruce Willis was a recording artist.
Yeah, harmonica
in the 80s.
player.
Bruno
Oh,
Carpelli-
yeah, that's right.
Bruno Carpelli
Yeah.
was his name. They created this whole character where it wasn't Bruce Willis the actor, it was Bruno and the name of the band, whatever it was, and they went on a national tour and they actually had a hit, and it was Bruce Willis playing this character, Bruno Carpelli, and it was a terrible mistake for Bruce Willis. He's horribly embarrassed by it, but it's the same manager who like 10 years later did the same thing with Chris Gaines.
Was that before Moonlighting?
It was during Moonlight.
Oh, during
Really?
Moonlighting.
Now here's the thing: is the guy can play harmonica like a badass.
No, he's
I've
a
actually,
badass.
I've actually heard him play. It's amazing.
Yeah, he performs. In fact, he's
does
a co-owner
tour,
of House of Blues.
Yeah,
isn't he?
that's right.
yeah,
with
yeah.
the Aykroyd and
Stallone's Planet Hollywood.
and one of the Belushi's, not one of the famous ones. One of the other family members
The one
owns
that's
it.
alive.
Dan Aykroyd. No, not that one. There's another family member that owns it. Dan Aykroyd and Bruce Willis.
It might really be Jim
Wait, who are
Belushi.
you talking
Maybe
about?
just the owners of the House of Blues. It's Dan
John
Aykroyd,
Goodman.
John Goodman.
John
That's
Goodman,
who it
Dan
is.
Aykroyd, and Bruce Willis. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes a lot. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Because that's why they were also in Blues Brothers. Well, Bruce Willis wasn't. Although they
No,
did
that's
offer him
why-
a part in Blues Brothers 2000.
Yeah, but he was smart to turn that
Yeah.
down.
Did you see Blues Brothers 2000?
Yeah, because I'm such a huge Bruce Willis fan, I'll usually see a
Refuse to see
sequel. I'll tell you this: everything in the movie is just an homage to. Like, it's weird because there's no reason to make it, but everything in that movie ties to the first movie. That's what I'm saying. You're not missing anything. I will say this: the only good thing about the movie is because Jim Belushi died before. John Belushi
yeah.
died. At the end of the movie, they go to prison in the first movie. Well, the second movie starts the same way the first one did. They're getting out. Dan Aykroyd's getting out of prison. It starts the same way. He's walked the same way. They walk him out of the gate, and he stands there alone, just like Jake did the first time. But then instead of the car pulling up, which is what you're expecting, because everything else has been pulse for pulse the same. Right. Frank Oz, who the famous director of the Muppet movies and stuff,
yeah.
he's the guard that walks Jake out the first time. Well, this time he walks Elwood out, and it's years later, and it says 13 years later or whatever. And he stands out there all day, and then finally when the car should pull up by the right pulse, the sun goes down, And then Frank Oz looks up and realizes Dan Aykroyd's still standing out there. So he walks out there, and the camera pulls back really far away, and he whispers into his ear, and Dan Aykroyd just goes.
That's how they explain it?
Why Jake's not in the movie. He died in prison.
Do the damn movie.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm just saying that was
no reason.
that was the only thing where I was like, oh, it was kind of touching, and then from there on out, there was nothing redeemable.
The
about
entire
that
production
movie.
of that movie coincided with the launch of the House of Blues, and that's all that movie was. It was just
Absolutely.
a big fucking commercial for the House of Blues.
Yeah, everybody was in that was performers from House of Blues.
I have the Blues Brothers as one of my 3 favorite movies of all time. So the idea that they just completely they had a balls to the wall insurgent provocative comedy in the Blues Brothers, and they turned it into this Disney, hey, come get a burger at the House of Blues commercial.
It was awful.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, even now, House of Blues as a venue, I like it. It's cool, but
seen a lot of
still,
bands there.
it's not edgy. It's not very edgy. It's
I've
still kind
actually
of
met
it's a little mousy.
The bass player in Blues Brothers, Donald Duck Dunn. I actually met the guy when I was a kid, and I was like, "You're the guy from the Blues Brothers."
It's cool. It's fun.
And my dad knew him, and I got introduced to him in a recording studio one time, and it was like blew my mind that I had met the bass player from that.
I just watched Sunday night, last night, I guess. Every Sunday, NBC is doing this documentary series about Saturday Night Live, and last week this week it was about Saturday Night Live in the '90s. It was, and they showed a clip of John Goodman and Dan Aykroyd as the Blues Brothers.
Oh, in the original SNL thing.
No, like from 1998, whenever the movie came out. Whenever they were obviously promoting Blues Brothers 2000, so it was probably 1999.
Okay, gotcha.
And it was Dan Aykroyd, and it was the Saturday Night Live band, and it was Elwood Blues, and then it was John Goodman as Blue, and it was just he was terrible.
Yeah,
he just
I remember that.
He might be a good, fun guy, but Belushi was a performer, and
Yeah.
there was like a serious drop off between them.
Well, it's an apples and oranges kind of thing because I think John Goodman is amazing.
I do
he's
love
one of the
John.
best
actors ever. Yeah,
But when he used to sing on Roseanne, when they used to do episodes where he'd end up singing, I'd always be like, "Oh, dude,
You'd swoon.
you're super mediocre at
was
best."
wait, real quick. Was that your first experience?
Your sexual
Your
experience.
first
your sexual
Roseanne?
awakening.
Yeah, was that your
Oh
sexual
yeah, I
awakening?
imagined a 3-way between Roseanne and Darlene,
I
and
thought
it was crazy.
Oh, boy.
But no, watching the
Checking,
Blues
just
Brothers
checking.
dance and Cab Calloway up there. I mean, when they go into that shuffle at the end of the film, up on stage and they're doing in unison together, I still think that's one of the coolest dances in any movie ever. You know what I'm just talking about, where it's the big audience and they're just shuffling up on stage doing the little
At
kicks.
the very
back and forth.
end?
Man, I can watch that over and over. That's so cool.
You want to see something that's really cool? Watch, and you can probably find it. Actually, no, you can't. I was gonna say it's on YouTube. They showed it during 2 weeks ago on the NBC Saturday Night when it was Saturday Night Live, the original cast. They did a 2-hour thing on the original cast.
Okay.
They showed the first ever performance of the Blues Brothers, and it was because they had a gap. They were going to do some bit, but something had happened, and so they decided to pull the sketch at the last minute. And then they went, and it was during the actual taping of the show that they said, we got about a 5-minute hole here. What do you want to do? They were going to get the band that was playing to do another thing, and somebody just said, "No, Johnny and Danny, why don't you guys do that?
Awesome.
Get the band and do that thing."
Yeah, because they'd actually
Beautiful.
performed at other places around the city. It had never been done on the show. Yeah, parties and stuff.
They became famous as Saturday Night Live always had a big party after the show on Saturday night, and all the celebrities would come. And John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd became sort of the house band as these characters, the Blues Brothers, and they were sent out there to do the song. And the song was, oh man, I don't remember the song. "Give Me Some Lovin'," the classic Spencer Davis band group song. "Give Me Some Lovin'." And they just nailed it, and they showed it. I'm sitting there
I've seen that
watching
clip.
this.
That's
thing.
on YouTube. Just the
Is it?
performance is on YouTube. Yeah.
They're the only one. Their uniforms aren't or their outfits aren't completely what they would evolve to be. But they still got the briefcase and they walk out, they unchain, they pull out the harmonicas out of the briefcase. But the thing is, if you watch Belushi in this thing, this is when people didn't realize how good Belushi was at this kind of stuff. And all of a sudden you have this fat little 5'9" bowling ball guy doing cartwheels
Kicks
on
and
stage, and he's just, he's like dancing
Agile.
like a really good dancer.
Awesome.
Like that was
They
unbelievably
did
cool.
tours after that. After when they started performing, my dad went and saw them.
Shit,
They had the Blues Brothers
I
tour
had
with the
the
full
album.
band and
I've
everything.
seen,
Do you really?
Rubber Biscuit, I remember, was one of
Yeah,
the songs
that's
that
what
I
it is.
loved on the album.
What was that old SNL sketch where they were like in a dance club and he would come out in a samurai suit with a sword?
Oh, Samurai
Samurai Night Fever.
yeah, Samurai Night Fever. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was great. It was, but anyway, I don't know what's actually. I think next week on Sunday night, 8 to 10, on NBC. It'll be
All right, I might have to watch.
it'll be Saturday Night Live in the 2000s. The really good. I think the really good stuff is over.
But
now.
I've got On Demand, so I think that's
Yeah.
something I can go back and catch.
I
What
was
was the
gonna
name of the show?
It's called Saturday Night. It's every Sunday on NBC for the last 3 weeks from 8 to 10 has been Saturday Night Live, and then the first one was the original cast. Then the second one was Saturday Night Live in the 80s. Then last Sunday was Saturday Night Live in the 90s. So I'm guessing the next one will be in the 2000s, which it's also close. You know, it was really cool to see like the 80s stuff, like the emergence of Eddie Murphy. And
See, that's when I started watching. That was a show my dad made me sit down and watch. It was be like what because he got us every other weekend, and my dad always had certain shows that like no, you were going to sit down and stay up and stay awake and watch Saturday Night Live, like when Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Sure.
If anybody knows what that is, my dad would force us to stay awake because he had this, good TV is good TV. There's bad stuff and there's good stuff. He made us watch the Marx Brothers. He made us watch
Benny
Mystery
Hill.
Science Theater 3000.
Remember Benny Hill?
No, I'm not going to pretend
You
I
know
like
what's
Benny Hill.
I hated Benny
I hate Benny
Oh
Hill.
my
Yeah.
God, what is wrong with you people? I'm out, man. I'll see you on Sunday. Hungover with V, Sunday, 11 to 1. We're like Saturday Night Live. It's all improv.
The last thing I want to say about
That's what we
Saturday Night
do.
Live on Sunday was they did
Here.
this. They talked about the cast that came in the mid 90s, 93, 94, and they showed all of these reviews. And it was supposed to be. It was a time when NBC was actually not even airing Saturday Night Live every Saturday. They were airing wrestling sometimes in its place on Saturday nights, just because Saturday Night Live had seen better days. This is 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
So they obviously pulled out of the tailspin. But they showed this article. This review of the show, and it said something. Not an ounce of talent in the lineup. Blah blah blah. These people are a far cry from the originals. And then the person flipped it around and showed a picture of the lineup, and it was Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, Chris Farley, Phil Hartman,
David Spade,
Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like every massive comedy star of the last
Yeah.
20 years. And this actual reviewer from back then,
Yeah.
how could you historically miss the mark so bad?
What's
Well,
funny is
I think that's a generational thing. It's one of those things where
Yeah.
because a lot of people that really were into the 80s and 90s SNL that hate the 2000s. Bill Hader's brilliant. Fred Armisen's brilliant.
This is the best
Chris
cast they've
Smith
had in
is
years.
brilliant.
Yes.
Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, who both had.
Well, you know what the
crossover
thing
into-
is though, when there are critics, like I read, things, we're up on the up, we do entertainment and
Yeah.
we, kind of field people on where to go. I always watch for myself, even if the critic says something negative or wrong, or if somebody gets a bad write up, it's up to you really to watch
Right.
it and check it out for yourself. And that's what happened.
What's funny is-
they kept playing, and you obviously
What's
they're
funny is when that cast
characters,
came out, when with the Pugs, what you're talking about with David Spade and everybody like that, my father actually sat down on a word processor and wrote a note to Lorne Michaels saying, "Look, man, obviously the show's going downhill. If you need a place to crash, you can sleep on my couch. But whatever you do, don't keep this show going." Got a reply back and said, "Thanks for the feedback. It was very professional and everything." But
Well, you know why they
he
did
wrote
that?
a letter thinking it was that bad, and that was when it was everybody that I love now.
Do you know why they did that? Because they had come out of the cast in the 80s, which was contemporaries of Lorne Michaels. They were targeting people in their 30s. They had Billy Crystal. They had it was a much older thing. And then suddenly in the 90s they went, no, let's get young.
Young.
And
College,
they hired
yeah.
everyone in their 20s.
It might have been the
Sandlers
whole
and all that.
MTV
And so
craze.
everybody hated
can see
it.
that.
Everybody
Yeah.
went, because the entire demographic target of the show shifted over the course of one season from targeting 30-year-olds to targeting 18-year-olds.
Well, that was the other thing. Instead of replacing one or two at a time, that was one of the first times they had just done a huge, let's replace 80 or 90% of the cast. And so
Yeah.
everybody was like, what happened to all the stuff I
can tell you why
liked?
they did that too. Because in the original, it was always supposed to be a rotating cast of 4 to 5 people. And then in the 80s, they had a cast of 5 people. And then suddenly, when they went young, they suddenly had a cast of 9 people.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So they jacked up the cast.
The
And all
other
the
thing is
featured
they
players.
stopped
And they
taking...
added featured players
Yeah.
Right.
because they never wanted to lose an entire cast at one time again. Lorne Michaels says, I started bringing in featured players because I was never going to face a season where it was all new talent again.
No,
I
yeah.
wanted at
Yeah.
least the featured players would be known
Yeah.
from
And
previous years.
Then I
Come
think
back.
we've seen what I like to call the Will Ferrell effect. Because like Will Ferrell kind of brought this brand of comedy to the table that I think Saturday Night Live has changed as a whole kind of in
Well,
that effect. It used to be very
He opened it for Fred Armisen and the guy from
Andy
plays
Samberg.
Andy Samberg, right,
Yeah.
where the little more I don't even know how to phrase that type of comedy.
It's more of an awkward sense. Like used to, it was very character driven, and Will Ferrell's great at doing both, like the awkward and the character stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But like then you've got Andy Samberg, who's not a great character comedian, but he's really awesome at generating awkward humor and pointing out inconsistencies
and sort of playing the same character.
Well, it's always Andy Samberg,
but just playing up the moments.
They've also made a concerted effort, which is back what they did in the beginning, in the era we were just talking about with the Sandlers and all, and Chris Rock. They actually experimented with this, and they said that they won't go back to it. But that cast was chosen because they were all stand-up comedians.
Well, yeah.
They decided, and they've gone back now to what they originally were, comic actors and actresses.
Now, remember, that was the other thing. I was going to say, they always pulled from Second City. Second City is a huge percent of where Saturday Night Live draws from. And when they switched to David Spade and all those people, I think there was one person from Second City. The rest were stand-up comedians from large cities.
Because I've seen all these episodes the last couple of weeks. Here's what happened. They were using Second City for all of their talent. Second City got pissed, and they said, look, we're getting tired of you rating us every year.
Because they had SCTV.
Well, yeah, that was like their answer, like John Candy and Catherine.
But it wasn't the real Second City. That was from the Toronto group of Second City. It was sort of like a franchise, so it's not
but they were part of the original
Chicago.
SCTV cast, was what I'm saying.
Well, no, but it was the Toronto group that started SCTV.
The
real Second City, the Chicago group, had nothing to do with that.
Like Sharna Halpern and all those.
Yeah, you know Sharna.
I've got the what is it? The Comedy Olympics book. My thesis that I just completed was about sketch comedy, so I did a whole lot of research.
Sharna and Del Close are like the
Del
two
Close,
guys. But Bernard
Herald.
Salkins is the Toronto guy who did the TV show.
Yeah.
But that didn't. Del Close was, because I'm a huge Second City fan. SCTV is like, I think, the greatest. Not even a sketch comedy show. I don't know what
improv period.
No,
just like on.
But it's
on
not improv.
No.
Rick Moranis was on there. No, it was written.
Second City TV was definitely not improv. There's some of the greatest comedy writers in television.
Well, ultimately at Second City, because I've got a friend who's SC Hollywood.
You might be too young.
I don't think I've ever seen it. Yeah.
But ultimately, the big goal at Second City really is an improv. I mean, there's a huge improv emphasis in it, but it's ultimately sketch writing.
It is. It's all writing.
They develop improv for the newer people, but they work you into writing.
Well, Frank Caddy and Frank Caddy and Matt, whatever his last name is, they go around, they tour and they do sketches that were all based on improvs. Like they would just be joking around, write a sketch with each other through improvs, and then they make tons of money doing it now.
Have you ever been to Second City? Actually seen shows there?
No, not. I've seen Frank and Matt perform when they came to Dallas.
It's not improv. It is not improv. You go to Second City in Chicago and you see, and the shows in the main stage are proven winner shows.
Yeah, I mean, Tina Fey comes from that. Polar comes from that.
Yeah,
dude.
Everyone comes. Mike Myers.
Go all the way back. All the way back to Joan Rivers.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Alan Arkin. Badass.
And everybody since then. Yeah, Nichols and May. I mean, everybody who's done anything in comedy has at some point gone through the Second City in Chicago.
Stevens Colbert.
There's also Upright Citizens Brigade too.
Carell. I mean, and not to mention the entire not the entire cast of the original Saturday Night Live, but most of them, the good ones. I mean, I like to say,
if you're a standing player at Chicago's Second City, you're going to have a career in comedy. Almost guaranteed. I mean, you're going to get something out of that.
Yeah, it's big. It's in Chicago. The Second City's a big deal. If you're in Chicago and you work for Second City and you're a main stage performer, it's like being on one of the pro athlete teams. You know, it's like being
or like
a
Broadway or
something
like that.
Yeah, you're a big deal. You're
Olympian.
a celebrity. You're a celebrity. You're someone that's always popping up on local TV, and I mean, it's a cool thing. Oh, but anyway, Second City got pissed about being rated by Saturday Night Live, so they pushed them out to L.A. and they started rating the Groundlings, which is another which is another big feeder for Saturday Night Live. And the Groundlings weren't really giving them anything that they were really happy about, so that's when they went into stand-up comics.
Gotcha.
But in that 90s group, Will Ferrell and Sherry O'Terry were Groundlings.
There's also Upright Citizens Brigade, which
they pulled from USBC, and I love those guys, of course.
But isn't that where Amy Poehler started?
Yes. Amy Poehler was a big big force in Upright Citizens Brigade, which is there,
So here's an interesting fact about Saturday Night Live. As long as Phil Hartman was on the show, he always said, and now live from New York, it's Saturday night. And ever since then, now he did it more than anybody else. And he did it like 90% of the shows that he was on. They always gave it to him. When after the tragedy that happened to him, now they never let a single person do it more than one time a week. If you watch, they'll never give 2 weeks in a row as an homage to him. They'll never, the same person never says it twice 2 weeks in a row. because they don't want it to fall to one person again. That was his, and they gave it to him.
Huh. That's, I guess I never really noticed that, but I assume whoever does the first sketch is whoever. If you are,
you fight for that.
And typically the first sketch, at least in the last 10 years, seems to be some sort of news parody.
Yeah, or some like political, some kind of conference.
Although they didn't do that this week. This week they did something different as an opening sketch, and I thought that was a really cool choice.
Porn.
No, it doesn't matter. All right, let's wrap this up. It's 10 o'clock, man. I feel like I've been here
Good
all
night.
day. Anybody in closing have anything that they want to discuss here?
Sunday, check me out. Hangover with Bean. We got Del
Of course,
Oil here in the house.
stick around an hour after that. The Del OL show, Sundays 2 to 3. I believe we're going to be reviewing Nazi Werewolves from Outer Space 2 this week.
Oh, good Lord. What is
Intern
that?
Stanton.
Yeah, if you need some coffee,
He's the
Hit me
guy.
up.
He's the guy right here.
He's the guy. All right, episode of PMS. We'll do more of these from time to time. Maybe we'll get into some sort of regular schedule.
Had a lot of fun.
We'll let you know. All right, guys. See ya. PMS on deepelemonair.com.
Check out deepelemonair.com for all of your exclusive rates, show times, and more. Everything you need to know about the local music scene for the Dallas-Fort Worth area can be found online. deepelemonair.com.